Hey everyone, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be talking all about high-low adapters. We'll cover what are they, why are they used, and how to figure out if your flat tow setup could use one or not. This is a high-low adapter right here, and what it does is it plugs into the hitch on your motorhome and changes the connection point height from where your tow bar is actually going to get inserted and hooked up to that high-low adapter. And everyone's setup is going to be a little bit different. You may not need to bother with a high-low adapter at all, but from my experience, we set a lot of these flat tows up, and almost every single one of them benefits from a high-low adapter. In many cases, that 2 to 4 inch drop is going to be the most popular, but it all just depends on what you got going on, which we'll cover that in a minute. But you might be thinking, well, what's the whole point of this? Why do I need to change that connection point height, right? Well, the vast majority of tow bar manufacturers recommend that their tow bar be pretty much level whenever you're pulling your vehicle behind your motorhome. That way it'll perform correctly, you'll get the best towing experience, your vehicle will track better, and you won't have, premature wear on your expensive tow bar. As far as I know, pretty much all of them out there recommend that the tow bar have connection points no greater than 3 inches. So you want the connection point on your towed vehicle and the connection point on your motorhome's hitch to be within that safe zone. The way to figure out if you're going to need a high-low or not is really simple. Ideally, you could take your motorhome, park it on flat ground, take the vehicle that you're going to be flat towing, pull it up about like this, about how you have it hooked up, and you're going to take 2 different measurements. One of them being from the center of the hitch pin hole on your motorhome down to the ground, and from the center of the attachment point on your base plate down to the ground. And if that difference is greater than 3, that's when you need to start looking into these high-low adapters. So for example, today our motorhome's hitch height was 24 inches. The base plate on our Jeep, that was at 18 inches. So we had a 6 inch difference, and that's well past the 3 inch safe zone that we're looking for. So we opted to use a 4 inch drop, lowering that connection point down to 20 inches. Now we only have a difference of 2 inches between our base plate and the center of our hitch pin hole, keeping us in that safe zone and allowing us to have a tow bar that's going to ride level and perform as it should. When you take your measurements, and if both vehicles are within that 3 inches, then you're good. You don't need to bother with a high-low adapter. For those of you that are just trying to get all the parts set up for your flat tow, and you don't actually have your base plate and everything installed yet, sometimes what you can do is check the instructions for your base plate. Some manufacturers, not all of them, will actually list that height and kind of give you something to work with there and go off of. So that's always an option for you to get you going in the right direction. Now, for those of you that come to find out you do need a high-low adapter, there's quite a few of them out there. It's a pretty simple concept, a bunch of different sizes that you can choose from to kind of fit your needs and get you in that safe zone. So I have a couple of them laid out here. We have a 2 inch one. This is a 6 inch one, so we could have used this on our setup too. Then you have some that have 2 tubes actually, so if you need a 2 inch drop or rise, plug your tow bar in. And then a lot of people like to carry other accessories on their coach, whether it be some sort of carrier or spare tire holder or something like that. That's always an option for you. And here we have, I believe this is the 10 inch one. So if your coach is way up high, you got a small vehicle that sits low to the ground, this is something that might work for you. And just about everything in between. Kind of a guaranteed safe bet. If you think you're going to need one, you're just not sure what size, or maybe if you tow multiple vehicles even, or change your vehicle often, Blue Ox makes an adjustable one. So you can really fine tune everything to that particular vehicle. I'd say the vast majority of the flat tows out on the road, your coach is going to be up higher than your vehicle, right? More than likely you use one of these in the drop position. But every now and again you come across one where the vehicle is actually up higher than the coach. I've ran into some Jeeps that are, you know, big tires and lift kits and smaller coaches. So you can use these high-low adapters in the other direction too. So if you were to need to use it in the rise position, you can always do that. But that's really about it as far as figuring out the size of drop or rise that you're going to need in a high-low adapter. But there are a couple other things to look for and consider. One of them being the weight capacities, right? You want to make sure to choose one of these that's going to be capable, more than capable for that matter, of handling the amount of weight that you're going to be pulling behind your motorhome. And you know, they're kind of all over the place. Some of them are really heavy duty, like this Roadmaster one here, for example. It has a solid shank on it, that's solid steel, and has a high capacity of 10,000 pounds. So this would be great for those of you with a big truck or something like that. Ain't gonna hurt to use it on a lightweight car either. You know, you have something overbuilt. One of my favorites that I usually end up going with, to be honest, in most scenarios, is the Kurt high-low adapters. They have a capacity kind of in the middle of the road. You know, 7,500 pound towing weight and 750 tongue weight. They're really nice pieces. I'm a fan of them. They're a little on the smaller side, more lightweight, but well built nonetheless. Quick word of advice too for those of you that are wanting to use one of these dual receiver tube openings for another accessory or whatever the case may be. You really need to think about what you're going to be trying to put in here, and if your hitch is even capable of handling that amount of weight and things like that, because a lot of times what we see is we end up using one of these and, you know, one of the neighbors is wanting to pull or put in their large bike rack, right? Makes sense. You're going out to enjoy yourself. You want to bring your bikes and other stuff like that. But sometimes you kind of get carried away trying to do too much and you just run out of room. You know, you got a lot of stuff going on back here. Sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you'd expect it to. So be reasonable, think about that type of thing and what other accessory you might be trying to use, as well as a lot of times too, you know, you might see these covers that go over the whole tow bar assembly, right, to keep everything protected. They look nice. Sometimes with how those get mounted up too, you know, this could potentially interfere with it and your accessory won't fit in there. So just wanted to share my experience and a few things that I ran into when dealing with these dual high-low adapters. Something that I've personally ran into when using a high-low adapter is the safety cables kind of falling short. And what I mean by that, whenever you use a high-low, it's going to add, you know, that extra space in between your flat toe setup. So your safety cables will have to stretch out a little bit more. And if yours are already on the tight side or a little on the short side, you know, you might run into an issue there with them reaching, because you do want, you know, when everything's fully extended, you're still going to want slack in your cables. You know, you don't want these things super tight, you know, that way when you make turns or whatever, there's some play there. In our case, ours were just a little on the tight side. I think we'd have been fine without doing this, but what I did was just use some heavy duty D-links here. And that bought us an extra, you know, 3 or 4 inches or whatever, and just gave us a little more breathing room there. But if yours are definitely on the tight side and you need extra length for sure, if you already have a set of cables, you know, you don't necessarily have to buy a whole brand new extra long set. You can always look into extensions. So these ones are made by Roadmaster here. There's a bunch of different sizes of these as far as length and capacities. And that would buy you that extra space. You know, you'd put these onto the safety chain openings on your hitch, and then you'll have another connection point where you can take your safety cables ends, clip them on there, and extend them out. Something that is often easily missed as well is the hitch pin and clip, right? Because your tow bar has a hitch pin and clip, it usually comes with it, and that's great whenever you can put it directly into your motorhome's hitch. But when you use the high-low, you're going to have to use that hitch pin and clip to secure the high-low to the hitch, and then you'll still need one to secure your tow bar to the high-low adapter. So just something to look out for. I know some of the high-low adapters will come with them, others won't. So pay attention to that. You know, if you don't have an extra one laying around, not a big deal. You can grab a regular old pin and clip here from eTrailer, and that'll definitely get the job done. With pretty much all of them out there that have this 2" by 2" shank that goes into the coach, and then a 2" by 2" one where your tow bar will go into. That's the most popular by far with those. You can use a standard 5/8 pin and clip. As of late, some of these real high-end coaches now, it seems like, are starting to come with the larger hitches, the 2.5 by 2.5 inch openings. And if that's what you have, not a big deal. They make these high-low adapters in those sizes as well. So whatever setup you got, more than likely there's going to be a solution for you. I know with a lot of these flat tow setups, people just tend to leave their tow bar on the back of their coach more or less permanently. I definitely don't blame them. I know that's what I would probably do too, just so you don't have to take everything apart all the time. And if that's what you want to do, you can get other accessories to kind of protect your investment, if you will. So for example, you could use a locking hitch pin. You know, if you use a high-low adapter, you'd of course need 2 of them. That would replace your standard hitch pins and clips and keep everything secure. That way it's locked to your coach. On the other hand, if you take it apart pretty frequently, you know, something you could do is get an alignment collar here. So this would slide over your tow bar end. I suppose you could put it on your high-low adapter too if you wanted 2 of them. But you'd set it up once, you put this on, lock it down, and that'll keep the perfect position. So the next time you reinstall it, you don't have to think about trying to line up the holes, right? You just put the tow bar in, put your pin and clip through, and you're done. And then one other thing too, I figured I'd just mention this stuff. There's some anti-rattle devices as well. So a lot of times, you know, there will be a little bit of play, right, between these connection points. You're never gonna have a perfectly tight fit. And if that's something that bothers you, you'd rather have something real secure, no play at all, you can always use something like this anti-rattle device, which will eliminate that slop and play. But other than that, at the end of the day, you know, it's a really simple component. A lot of times it's overlooked, but it's really important to use a high-low adapter if your particular situation calls for it. You know, keeping that tow bar level, you'll get a lot more miles out of it. It's just going to, you know, provide you with a much better flat towing experience, and you're doing things the right way. So, you know, if you need one, really consider picking one up and getting everything dialed in. But, you know, hopefully kind of shed some light on the high-low adapter situation and helps you figure out if you can benefit from one or not.